announcement as how you're doing, Burning Sage, and over there too. I apologize in advance if I pronounce some of the tribes' names wrong, but it's all respect. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world and further, and to whom we owe the responsibility to fight for true liberation and justice. Some were stolen from their homelands and brought here against their will. Some were forced to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can count. These are the moments to consider the many legacies of violence, genocide, displacement, and forced migration that bring us together here today. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the occupied, seized, and stolen ancestral territory of indigenous peoples, including but not limited to the Algonquin, Monaco, Nantico, Saginaw, Canoa, the Hanha, Shawnee, Susquehanna, Tingalo, Lundi, Patuxent, Chicane, and HoCo and Sapodi people. Stewarded this land throughout generations. This acknowledgement is particularly important as we continue our fight against the effects of environmental racism on indigenous, black, and brown communities, and the intentional destruction of this sacred ancestral land and Mother Earth by capitalism and greed. To pay respect to the elders, both past and present, we are committed to continuing the fight against the past and present day colonizers. In the honor of the elders and ancestors, we will not be silenced, and we will not surrender to the evils of white supremacy, imperialism, and all forms of oppression. Truth and acknowledgement are critical. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried, by honoring the truth and committing ourselves to uncovering such truths in our own daily practice and at any and all public events or gatherings. Thank you. We would like to welcome, to start us off, Reverend Peter Spann.
Enslaved Africans were brought to this continent, we have had a problem with race in this country. And the problem has not ended. And the problem is that many African Americans have had to shoulder that burden for ourselves. And I want you to know today that we're thankful for all of the allies. We're thankful for down the years for all who have stood with us on this cause and during this time. But we're thankful today for you all. Because as we see today,
There's
this
space.
American problem
You think I
is
can
really
get down?
beginning to take shape. And everyone from all across all lines are starting to come together.
You have to get through a lot of people, but yeah.
And as Dr. King said, that if we don't learn to live together as sisters and brothers, that we will perish together as fools. Here today, because we can't act like racism and racial violence and white vigilantism is a thing of the past. We think of episodes like Breonna Taylor, a first responder, an EMT who lay asleep in her bed and was killed by police officers. We think of Ahmaud Arbery, who was hunted down by a white father and son in Georgia like he was some type of animal. But I'm excited today to see all the faces. It warms my heart, Howard County, that we're able to come and take a stand today. And we're not standing idly by. We're not going to leave this issue to our children because we have the tools to fix it today. I am my sister and my brother's keeper, a fresh wind that reminds us of the word of but nothing can be changed until story, and he said, somewhere in the dream we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win a war individually. It takes the wisdom of our elders, the young people's energy. Welcome to the story of Paul, victory, the coming of the Lord, my eyes. The glory, the power, it will be ours. It will be ours. Keep fighting, keep pressing, keep moving forward.
I started doing so because some of the very people here on the stage. So I began with organizing immigrant action networks and utilized my skills as a translator and started showing up for different mobilizations in support of our undocumented community and attending Dr. rallies. I had been privileged to do this as I am a citizen. As a sophomore in high school, I shared to help out with the dream team, and I told you while my friends were organizing tires in response to the racism and different races in the city, Howard County schools.
I want to know where to see.
Then, in my junior year, I testified that other students, council people know,
I'm like as a front by the set.
one in which our undocumented community
No, by the way.
safest in
Right by Whole Foods.
I remember missing class, being constantly exhausted.
Hey, Caesar.
Why is it me and the group of
This is probably the best. I mean,
Otherwise, you have to get to the front end.
yeah.
When you do it, then I want to try. If you don't think you think it's worth it. They got people one. Go on, try. All right, let's go.
To be proud of my own skin has become a sin. In a country supposedly built on the essence of liberation, we never win. Our cries for equality and justice almost 60 years ago have been drowned in the hate and prejudice of people who take on the role to criticize me for my nappy hair, or to tell my brethren his life is meaningless because his skin ain't fair. Let us honor those lost in the injustice of those who claim to work for justice. I'm exhausted. I'm done. I'm tired. We're tired. I'm tired of waking up every morning to another brother or sister lost. Lost because of the hate of a man who sees the darker skin and strives to see them fall. our own law enforcement has decided to continue to enforce their own law. A law that calls for the destruction of the black community for being a people. Our prison system has been made to treat us like slaves. We have local Caucasian citizens posing as bigots, belligerently and frequently, making it known that we cannot belong. But guess what? We do belong. We do reserve the right to live without fear. The right to jog in our respective neighborhoods without looking over our shoulders.
Yo, Anthony.
The right to not fear for our lives when being pulled for a mere traffic stop. The right to speak on the injustice expressed in our community and not be silenced by a man who has decided to wage war on his own country because we exercised our First Amendment right. A man who only cares for the people who are fair skinned and the people who wear red hats that scream for a greater America, but does nothing to emulate that. Our blackness has been taken and transformed into a monstrous narrative. Our blackness has been taken and disrespected for what it is. Beautiful, culturally enriching, and everything in between. And during over 400 years of enslavement to the American way, and in that over 70 years of civil rights movements have amounted to nothing as we see today. The white community has decided to see us as other rather than brother. Why should I have to remember the names of Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, and the other hundreds of people that have fallen to the brutality of our so-called justice system? Why should I have sleepless nights wondering if my mom will make it home safely without being attacked for her accent and her ethnicity? Why should my brethren and I suffer to the means of marginalization because we express beauty in the darkness of our skin, in the richness of our culture? I shouldn't have to preach Black Lives Matter when it already should be known. Being a first-generation adult in America, my parents came here for a better living. And I'm sure many of you can relate and say the same. Yes. But it's turned out to be a country built on hypocrisy and bigotry. We have been segregated from the statement, we the people, and have been treated like animals. And as we call for action, I want to speak for my loved ones when I say, we will not rest. We will not stop. We will not be ignored. And we will fight for what is right. As someone once said, a riot is the language of the unheard. And our people will keep rioting and tearing down these streets and protesting and speaking because our voice has not been heard. Our voice that in the Constitution implies is one of the greatest powers the citizens of America can have, but is being ignored. The resort to violence isn't right, but it's been the only way that we've been heard. You can't separate peace from freedom, because no one can be at peace unless one has freedom. But as we continue to find other means to get in our voice heard, do not be weary, but be strong. The future belongs to those who prepare for it today, and we are the future. And today, we speak for what is right, so that tomorrow, we no longer weep for another lost soul in our community. then we can finally chant, free at last, free at last.
Thank God Almighty, you're free at last.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Thank you.
Black.
Thank you, Prince. I just want to reiterate, I know we keep saying come in peace or go home. We say no justice, no peace because we want a civil disobedience. We want to disrupt the normal. Disrupt normalcy so that they hear us and see us and make sure that we are heard. So I'd rather say come to disrupt peacefully or go back home. If y'all not trying to do that, this is not the place for that. So our next speaker will be Bayende.
How many more brothers and sisters have to die by the hands of police officers in this nation before change occurs? What do we have to do in order for the lives of black people to be valued in a system that is built against us? When we knelt, they didn't listen. When we shed our tears, they didn't see. When we asked, they didn't respond. So this no longer is a knock on the door of change and justice. This is a kick through the door and a demand for the change that over 400 years, black brothers and sisters have been mistreated in this country they call the United States. But what is united about a nation where the color of your skin determines the capacity of which you are able to pursue the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness?
Let's go!
Is it an equal living of life if every morning I know that because of the color of my skin, I can be killed going for a jog with no repercussion? That don't having my hands up and not being a threat, a police officer can take away my life with no punishment? That being black in America can be the crime that makes me no longer walk this earth? Who are we supposed to call when the people that are supposed to be protecting us are the ones killing us? As sad as this sounds, we now have to police the police. As a community, I feel as if it's our duty to watch the interaction between police officers and members of the African American communities that happens in our vicinity. Knowing that the likelihood of that brother or sister making it home that night can rely on whether or not the officers are worried that someone is watching their actions. In the simplistic nature of a community, having to watch a police officer do their job in order to make sure they're not committing a crime doesn't show a broken system, I don't know what will. To not use your voice or platform to speak out against police brutality, no matter your skin color, is to stand with the oppressor. Some may say it's not that simple, but it is. If you're not using your voice to speak out against the devaluation of an innocent life, then you're not doing your duty as a human to fight for what is right. As a black community, we have to use the power that we do have to make a difference. All around the country, we have to start voting for district attorneys who are the ones that reside over the police counties, who are making a point of effort to not have dirty cops in their police force. We have to invest in our communities and business, giving us the economic power to build our communities up, thus dropping the crime rate. We need more officers that will condemn their co-workers for any wrongdoings, not only against the black individuals, but the job itself. Finding using our biggest influence, we have to use our culture as a vehicle to communicate our plans of action and change. If you happen to be one of those people who have a special privilege based on your skin color, you can be used as an instrument of change as well. Use the truth of you being less likely to be killed by police to step in between a cop and a potential victim. Use the voice you have to educate the members of your community that are doing the oppressing. And finally, if hate or racism was taught to you, be the one to end the generational plague in your family. George Floyd could have been my uncle, my father, or my older brother. Breonna Taylor could have been my mother, my aunt, or an older cousin. It's time to end these murders that are not a new story to our communities. These murders that occur like a bad dream that will never end will finally have to come to a stop. There is no more asking or pleading for change. This is a command and deformation of an unjust system that continues to take lives. We will not rest until proper justice has been served for the Floyd and Taylor family. We will not rest until there is a fundamental change in this nation. No justice, no peace. No justice,
No peace.
No justice!
No peace.
No justice!
No peace.
Was he right or was he right? Again, I want to thank y'all for coming out here and supporting a great movement. As I introduce our next speaker, I just want you to give him a warm welcome. Here's Aaron. Hello, everyone. First off, I would like to thank the amazing team of HoCo for Floyd for organizing such a beautiful event during such a traumatic time and for allowing me to speak my truth. I would also like to thank everyone out here today that decided to come out to support this amazing cause, because without you all, we would not be here today. My heart is heavy, as I'm sure many of yours are as well. I'm hurt, frustrated, depressed, sad, and speechless. I'm a young black male living in a society where the whole world seems to be against me and my people. Where the whole world loves black culture, but does not love black people. It took George Floyd's death. It took Breonna Taylor's death. It took Ahmaud Arbery's death. It took all these black lives ending for people to understand the importance of why black lives do not matter to those who are not black. Look around. It took a pandemic, the coronavirus, for people to finally realize that black lives matter? Are you kidding me? This is America, where black people are not treated equally. There have been so many black lives that have been taken due to police brutality. I'm standing up on this platform today to let you know that I am a 19-year-old college student from PG County. One of the richest, wealthiest black communities in the world. I'm so blessed to live and be from such a great county because we never hear about issues like this within our community. I turn on the news, I go on social media, and I'm hearing about a black man who lost his life due to a white police officer kneeing him to death. I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. While this officer continued to take this man's life and his partner by his side continued to watch, and all he did was stand there. Now I want you to take a glimpse at the bigger picture here. You see all these tweets, Instagram posts, news conferences, protests, and more. It took all of these things to take place for people to recognize the issues that the black community faces on the daily. Racism has never gotten worse. It has just now started to be filmed. The media is just now starting to turn this... The media is just now starting to turn this narrative into something worse. Black people were always getting racist comments thrown at them, and America never accepted us for who we are. Everyone is so quick to talk about black on black crime, but what about white on white crime, huh? You do not ever hear about the media talk about issues relating to that. The way the system is set up, it is set up to be against people of color. Black on black crime should not even be a discussion during a time like this, when the problem is blacks versus whites and the system they created. A black person ain't never killed a black person for being black. All my life, I have grown up going to a predominantly white private school. With all these issues that are happening in our world today, it makes me question all the non-black friends that I had. It made me question if they ever stood up for my race. I understand that some people are ignorant and need to be educated on things such as racism, but it is our job as black individuals to enlighten them. I want the non-black community that came out today to understand that this change starts with you.
What's up, man?
We see you reposting that picture on Instagram and Twitter, but now it is time to act on these issues. Protest with us. Donate with us. And vote with us. If you do not help the black community pave the way to allow these problems to end, nothing will change. How many lives do they have to take? How many protests do we have to attend? How many times do we have to tweet, post, and encourage our favorite celebrities and influencers to post for them to get it? The black community is tired. I am tired. If you have been silent throughout this whole worldwide issue, it is a form of hatred. Doors will continue to be closed for the black community if you do not speak up. So talk, speak, and use your platform and your voice to be heard, and do not let anyone make you be quiet. That goes for blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, whatever you are. Use your voice for the good of the black community. If you guys do not have a voice, that is what will make or break the black community. Without justice, there will be no peace. And all lives should not matter until black lives matter first. Say their names. All of their names. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Next, we will be having a Harvard-educated woman, Brutality.
Maybe! Let's go to maybe!
There's mad heads here.
Woo!
Hi everyone, I'm Dumavi, and I'm so glad to see so many of you guys out here, especially because a lot of us in this county think that we're exempt, that we are safe, that we live in one of the most affluent counties in the nation, and that means something. It means that we are untouchable. Hopefully your presence here is your declaration that you know this to be untrue.
Tell him, little sis!
I hope your presence here is your declaration that we will stand for no more. It's your acknowledgement that far too many lives have been lost. I hope you know that it does not end here. I beg you to continue to fight, to make your voices heard, to not stop until there are no more names to say. I will not speak too much because there have been wonderful speakers before me and more to come after me, so all I have to share with you is a short poem. I pray for the colorblind, for the ones who can't see my skin so deep and so dark, blind to a vibrance of culture and creation, a blindness they've only sought to remedy with rose-colored glasses. For the ones who can't see me. You can't see people if you don't see color, and I won't disappear into my darkness. When we were kids, we were all scared of the dark. It's just, some of us never grew out of that fear. For some of us, that fear developed. Some of us are adults now and are no longer scared of the darkness. They're scared of the blackness. I do not pray for those who are scared.
Woo!
I pray for those whose very existence shakes the world, whose existence is something to be remade but not respected, whose bodies are seen as dangerous, whose bodies are seen as replaceable, whose bodies are always moisturized with cocoa butter and blood and sweat and tears, and with the spit that precedes the words of hate, or words of hate in disguise. Is that your real hair? Translation, what are you hiding? Does it grow wild and untamed like your people do?
It doesn't flow straight down to the ground like mine. Does it stick straight up to the heavens like where we send your boys? You have it braided, locked in a cage like we do to yours. And this isn't an existence that I asked for. It's actually one that I long rejected and sometimes still do. I used to think that the only thing more exhausting than caring about everything is caring about nothing at all. I now know that the most exhausting thing in this world is knowing that nobody cares what you care about. Knowing that your lips aren't pink enough for the words that slip through them to matter. Knowing that even though the sun can't burn you, the light still can. Knowing that you have to work 2 times as hard to be 3/5 as respected.
Woo! Let's go, do maybe! Let's go, do maybe!
I didn't even want to write this poem. I thought it was too black.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter! My little sister grew up, Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
We have Diamond. They were one right there.
I'm up here nervous and shit. Can we take a moment of silence real quick, please? They want to know why I'm screaming out Black Lives Matter. Listen up, because I'm giving you the answer. We're going to take it back to the very first chapter. Working in the fields for a damn slave master. Because my skin black, man, that shit whack. They try to beat us down, but we got to bounce back, fight back, or fall back. Man, you tripping, what's that? Standing 10 toes in the end, I'm a dog. Call me Kunta, but I said my name Cole. Crack me with a whip till I repeated what you told me. How can someone be so evil? Why do you control me? Took my pride, stripped my life, then you gonna dispose of me? We fight for our lives every day, I don't get it. Walking past the fence, then they blowing back on finish. Shot up with some Skittles in the juice, he was innocent. Brick training that way. So I'm screaming out Black Lives Matter. Listen up, cause I'm giving you the answer. Threw us in the dirt, that was broke, we were shattered. Judging by our color never gave us any chances. Why you hating on this melanin canvas? Too many mistakes over black circumstances. Skin too beautiful to end up in a casket. I don't think you see him right. Go and get your glasses, too many passes. White on black crime, man, I'm mad at it. Getting tired and I'm really getting frantic. Everybody asking Diamond, why you so dramatic? Cause my skin black, can't top that. They try to beat us down, but we gotta bounce back, fight back, or fall back. Make you triple, what's that? Standing 10 toes in the end, I'm a dabble.
If there's any, music producers, labels, and
Shoot your shot, yo!
we got Jeffrey.
Oh.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Trump supporter, apparently.
Thank you all for coming out.
Tell us, sis.
Because we're going to be the ones to change the country. We all are raised and saddened about the violence.
Yo, let her talk, yo!
Let her talk.
Hey, yo, let her talk! Let her talk, yo!
Why would you let her talk? If it's not true.
Hey, yo, let her talk real quick!
Let your sister talk.
But we should not be surprised.
Nah! Nah! Nah!
It's true, right? So let her talk. Let her talk.
Hold on.
That's not what we're here for. We're here to stay focused.
People what?
Ah, you ain't gonna sit up there and be.
Y'all have to see us. We got history supporting Trump. Are you fucking kidding me?
Continue speaking because we are here to legalize being black. That's what we are here for.
Don't let her talk. Let her talk.
We see you, sir. It's okay. Now we have to say, we gonna let this man finish speaking because we're here to legalize being black. That's what we do. And she got next. If she wanna come up, she can get the floor. As long as she ain't going, you know what I'm saying? Come on, let's get that.
At least address it, yo.
I would say I still don't know what's going on.
At least address it.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to start by we're going to be the ones that change this country.
Boy, you jiggling like Jello.
We're all excited about the violent and criminal acts of the Minneapolis police officers who murdered George Floyd, but we should not be surprised. The actions of the police officers and inaction of the justice system in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd is a characteristic of our criminal justice system. The American criminal justice system and police force was never meant to protect us. It exists to maintain the status quo. The status quo is white supremacy.
My sister said I gotta calm the girl next to me down. We can't have this popping off, please.
That were never designed to support us.
Y'all in the back, they ain't hear that. Y'all ain't hear what she said.
Hey, yo, good poem, yo. Love you. Love you.
Because while we are arguing about where blame should be placed, they are killing us. The last time I checked, when a black person commits a murder, they receive the harshest penalties possible. But as we've seen of late, when a white person does it, especially a police officer, they go home to their families and carry on with their lives.
You out? All right, take care, man. Be safe.
Centuries of slavery and persisting racism has left us as a community broken and divided. But it is up to us, our generation, to come together and overcome in order to change this country for the better. Blackness isn't a way of speaking, dressing, or
you don't get that. You don't get that angry if it ain't true. You don't get that angry.
Blackness is a collective condition and experience that we
you say
all
it. You at least address it.
regardless of our occupation, socioeconomic status, or education. At the end of the day, we are black people.
Facts. Facts.
The senseless murder of
Look at him
George
shaking.
Floyd is simply
Shaking,
a
bro.
terrible
You see that
echo of
paper?
the past. Ahmaud Arbery, Eric Gardner, Michael Brown, Freddie Gray, Philando Castile, Tamir Rice, George Mann, Janet Wilson, Randy Nelson, Stephon Clark, and the list goes on and on. These acts of violence perpetrated against our people have become so...
And times of racism are behind us. But if there's anything that 2020 has taught us, it is that we are living those times now more intensified than ever. Our brothers and sisters are murdered, incarcerated, and stripped of all of their freedoms and dignity. The truth that we are unwilling to accept is that the socioeconomic disparities, skewed cultural values have always and will always see to it that white America functions at the expense of the black community, unless we bring this revolution to a success. Until then, we need to keep our foot on the pedal. Do not let up, keep applying pressure, and speak for our ancestors who couldn't speak or stand up for themselves. Do not let them down. America, the system that you have created is not broken, flawed, or damaged. It is functioning just as you intended for it to, and it's well past time for it to be fixed. Your cries that all lives matter and blue lives matter only continue to demean my struggle. The simple fact is that this is not about white lives, blue lives, or even all lives. This is about black lives, simply because black lives have never mattered in America. When we started saying Black Lives Matter,
They just got it.
It was only to say that we are Americans and that we too are deserving of equality in this country. African Americans make up 12% of the U.S. population, but are 3 times more likely to get shot by police officers than their white counterparts. Not only that, but 38% of state prisoners in the U.S. are black. It is time for a change. What are we going to do? We need to do things like educate the masses on African American history, hire more minority officers, ensure every state has nonpartisan police accountability, ensure every city's police department has a review board made up of people from all sides of the aisle, take local prosecutors out of the equation when it comes to prosecutors of law enforcement offices, register to vote and show up to vote locally and nationally. We must continue to pray. Our voices need to be heard, and I need you guys to keep fighting. Thank you.
Let's have another round of applause for Amara.
Nope.
Now, I'm going to say something real quick before we get to the next speaker. I still hear my brother crying, I can't breathe. Now I'm in the struggle saying I can't leave. We are calling out the violence of these racist police, and we aren't going to stop until our people are free. Now, we have come here for the same purpose, to say that Black Lives Matter, to dispel the injustice that is happening in our justice system. At the end of the day, we may all have our different opinions, but I know we are all here for the same cause, to fight for what is right, to fight for civil rights. We cannot be having this unrest, this agitation within our community. Because if we as a people can't stay together, then how are we going to go out there and fight for what's right? To fight for our cause. So as we go on from today on forward, just remember that unity matters in this. And I'm gonna need y'all to spell it out with me. U-N-I-T-Y. 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 Now, I'm gonna introduce my brother, our next speaker, Saquon Maxwell, as y'all know him. Yes, sir. Here we go.
Hey, we doing this out, man. Hey, I promise to y'all, I won't talk y'all heads off. I promise to y'all. First thing I want to say is, thank you guys, man. It means a lot. Man, clap it up for yourselves for coming out here, man. It means a lot. Honestly, when they reached out to me, asked that I want to speak, I don't write stuff, man. I go off emotion, because this shit is real for me. For anyone who knows me, I was adopted by a 25-year-old white man who brought me to Howard County straight out of the projects in West Baltimore. I came to Howard County, and I seen a whole different life. And I couldn't fathom the fact of I was 30 minutes away from what we call a jungle, living peaceful. As the Freddie Gray riots unfolded in 2015, I sat in my $200,000 house with my white family, and I felt so selfish. I felt alone. I felt empty. My mom always told me I could never tell you what it feels like to be an African-American man in America, but I will extend my white privilege to you. As your mother, I will stand down and stand up for anything you believe in. I marched the streets of Baltimore City for 4 days. I marched the streets of Baltimore City for 4 days. And I tell you this, I marched for my guys, man. I marched for their children, man. I marched for the kids I work with, man. We got my kids, man. We need to protect the future, man. I ain't here to teach you no BS, bro. This cannot be a trending topic, son. I got kids I work with in Baltimore City. I started the year with 22 8th graders. I ended the year with 17. You know why? They died. And they hoods, man. Do you know the pain I felt going to the homes and going, yo, we just found your kid on the playground dead? That hurts, man. And I say that to say it can be done. We are the change. We possess the power. They can't silence the truth. They can't silence the truth. Many years and years we've been overlooked. We've been stepped on. We've been kicked over. We've been pushed. We've been spat on. Now, look at this, bro. We are here as one, as a unit, collective. And ain't a damn thing gonna stop us from moving forward. I walk the streets of Baltimore City. Anyone who knows Baltimore City, I went from North Avenue and 20th to the inner harbor with 2,000 people walking behind me. Check my Instagram if you think I'm lying. We walked to the city hall. Yo, ring the bell, man.
That's what's up.
Wednesday, I have a meeting with the police commissioner. Friday, I have a meeting with the mayor of the city. So when I tell y'all, when you rally together and come peaceful and can use your voice collective, it works. I had children calling me, Coach, I see you on TV. Thanks for speaking for me. So everybody who's standing out here, that's someone looking up to you. So keep doing what the hell is right and keep fighting. When I tell you this, I'm going to a powerful note, bro. It's sad that we're here to legalize being black. That's sad. But we are here as one. And I said this already. We cannot let this be a trending topic. This has to be our energy every day. Every day this has to be our energy. And all you folk that's on Twitter, yo, y'all protesting and ain't gonna do nothing. Get out here in these streets, man. Get out here in these streets, man, and see what's really going on. Feel this pain. I stood in front of a police officer who looked me in my face and was like, yes, I fear you because I don't know what you're thinking. I'm human, bro. We ain't breaking nothing. We're trying to build this stuff up, man. We trying to come together as one and understand that our community has some of the best and powerful people on the planet, bro. Don't let that go over your head, bro. And all of my non-black friends, I see your silence. I see your silence. I see it. Silence is just as guilty as the crime, bro. I see your silence. And I won't stop this fight. I started this fight at 14. I won't stop it, bro. Until I feel like my kids can walk in the street peacefully. I shouldn't have to have conversations with my 11-year-old nephew to not wear your hood a certain way. Make sure we walk with a purpose and use our voice. And like my guy Prince said, or Earn, someone, y'all had some powerful words, but vote with us. Y'all love our culture, y'all love our slang, y'all love the way we do what we do. Y'all love how we vibe and how we rock. So vote with us. Be with us, stand with us in this troubling time, because it hurts. It hurts, bro. Understand that we are the people, we are the power. We are the people and we are the power. This shit will be changed. We are the people and we are the power. We are the people and we are the power. We are the people and we are the power. We are the people and we are the power. Hey, thank y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. Let's remember, keep this peaceful, y'all. I love y'all.
Can we thank St. Paul one more time for that amazing? Thank you for sharing your testimony, man. I really appreciate it. Before we get into the next speaker, y'all just take a moment. I know we had some unrest in the crowd earlier, but you just take a moment to breathe, look to the person next to you, and see how beautiful this is right now. See how many community members showed up and showed out because they believe in this thing.
That's a good voice.
Oh, thank you.
Just take a moment.
Out here listening to somebody who supported Trump.
We're all in this together. That doesn't mean we don't critique and fight the people who we think are not inclusive of our community, but we are all in this together.
What you not going to do is have people who contradict what the fuck y'all do. Just let the girl talk. We just want to hear what she got to say.
Our next speaker is someone who I probably met like 2 days ago, but has actually shown me so much and really has, become a role model in terms of, putting beautiful things like this together. So can we please welcome Reverend Janelle.
First, I have to shout out to these young people, y'all. They did the damn thing. They did this. They organized. So media, don't let anybody tell you it was anybody but these young people who climbed out of y'all, who sat on calls, who worked in this night and night, day after day, to make sure that their message was clear and that we showed up. These young people are powerful, and how dare we ever try to strip them of their power, because this is what they are able to do. Silence is violence. And in this moment, your words, your action, and your commitment to justice are not only necessary, but will help determine whether people who look like me and my son and all these beautiful black people that you see around here will continue to be murdered, abused, and oppressed by systemic racism, policy violence, white supremacy, and the police state, or if we'll finally have a chance to enjoy the freedoms that white people are privileged to enjoy every day, like running in our own neighborhood. Howard County Police made a statement that condemned the murder of George Floyd, and they said it's disturbing to see acts that don't represent your profession. But the truth is, these acts do represent your profession, and it's time that we start telling the truth about it. I know this, y'all. I know this because I've practiced criminal defense, and in Maryland and D.C., and I've seen officers flat out lie to help prosecutors secure convictions or save their partner's tails. I've had black officers talk to me about the code and getting their stories straight before going back to the precincts because they roughed somebody up too much. I know officers right now dealing with a lack of promotions and racism within their own departments. I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know. And it's time to break that blue line. And it's time for police to speak up too. Maryland law enforcement agencies received 3,912 pieces of military equipment worth $7.9 million. Why are our police forces being armed like they're ready for war with the people? Because the police state is inherently and systematically violent and have been waging war on my people for hundreds of years. Since the beginning of the slave patrols. Today it's evident in the way police across the nation have been agitating protesters. It's evident in police showing up to peaceful protests in riot gear, escalating situations to flex power. It's evident in an innocent man by the name of Keith Davis Jr. sitting in prison after 4 trials because Baltimore police shot him 11 times and he lived to tell about it. It's evident in police driving into crowds and shooting media persons with rubber bullets. When police can't even maintain nonviolent actions during a nationwide rebellion that is protesting their violence, we have a problem. How dare we continue to say it's a few bad apples when we see police in every state throwing up Nazi and 3%er signs? It's not a few bad apples. The whole system is guilty. Police are part of a system that profits off of locking up black bodies at a rate 4.7 times higher than white people right here in our state of Maryland, even though study after study shows that black and white people commit the same amount of crime. Police are part of a system that checks the reading levels of 3rd and 4th grade black boys so the rich and corporations like Core Civic know where to build the next jail and prison, and then they put police in schools.
Let's go!
This is not making our communities safer. It's making the rich richer. Let's talk about the fact that the prison industry is a billion-dollar industry. Murdering police officers aren't the ones sitting behind bars. Most people are non-violent offenders, poor people, and black and brown people who are in need of services, support, and mental health and drug treatment, not modern-day enslavement. arrested. You had not one, not two, but 3 grown men pressing their weight on a man, killing him slowly as he and others begged and pleaded for his life. And here we are a week later and still no justice. We're crying in these streets because there's been no justice for George Floyd. We're crying in these streets because there's been no justice for Tony McDade. We're crying because there's been no justice for Breonna Taylor. And y'all want to tell people to calm down and just be peaceful? Tell your partners and Peace is defined as freedom from disturbance. When black people are being gunned down, strangled, and lynched in modern day, we are not free from disturbances. And if you have a conscience, you should be disturbed, you should be agitated, and you should be angry. So while we will continue to be nonviolent, peace will not come until we get justice. We must continue to organize and mobilize and take the streets and protest and join grassroots movements like the Poor People's Campaign and demand that we end the police state of our nation that is rooted in white supremacy. We need to invest in our communities, invest in education, invest in housing, invest in healthcare, and defund the police. Until the killing of black men, and that's my son, until the killing of black men, black mother sons becomes as important to the rest of the country.
Yes! Hell yes! Hell yeah!
There's been a lot said. There's been a lot said today.
Thank you. Abolish the police! Abolish!
Let's say that. Someone's about to leave.
Yes, man. Talk to him. Talk to him alongside you. This is for you. This is not only for me. Keep talking. No more. Let's soak this in once more. Let's put our right fist up and let's soak all this in. All this information that we heard today, I know it's a lot, but we came. We came to unify and speak against this injustice. To speak that Black Lives Matter.
I hear you. I hear you.
Look around. Look around to
Nah, this queen back here is speaking. Get up here and get this mic.
Oh, snap. Yeah. I was waiting.
Let's go, baby girl.
Now, a lot of y'all see me wilding out. Because of what our sister was saying, we don't silence anybody. If somebody says something like that, it's something like this, we don't ignore it. It's not enough just to be black. The celebrities through this week have proven that. We have canceled how many people because they do not support us and they are fellow black people. Anita can't even say her name until you've been through what she's been through. You wouldn't understand my anger. I understand that it looks like I'm trying to be violent, trying to be rah-rah. If you're speaking the truth, even on my black people, I'm not saying I'm gonna cuss you out or whatever. I just want to know why. Why would you ever support anything against these beautiful people out here right now? We are born black. It should never, ever be in your character to be anything but. We grow up. Maybe we don't hear everything in school, But we grow up hearing a lot, enough to know that we have to stand for something. So going on the other side of justice in any given point of your life is no excuse. No excuse, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Asian, whether you're Hispanic. Everybody needs to stand. And just because the truth is being said, that does not mean we silence our fellow black people. We understand what they're saying. We hear them. We've seen it. We have canceled so many black influencers, celebrities, artists, everybody that we look up to this week simply for not supporting us. But what do we do? Why are they up? Because we support them, right? They get our money, they get our support, right? But I just want to know why. Why is it so easy for people to take that instinct of being black and to know that you have to stand for your color no matter what? Why is it so easy for them to throw that away at any given point in their life? I just want to know why. Enough is enough. I'm so done.
Hey, I ain't gonna cry. I promise you. Hey, what? Do not
Black men are allowed to cry.
Say what?
Black men are allowed to cry.
I'm glad you said that, man. I'm glad you said that. For all my strong young black men out here, speak on your emotions, man. Speak on your emotions. I'm gonna get down after this, bro. I promise you. I'm gonna tell y'all one thing. I work in the public school system. They built a $30 million jail 2 blocks away from my school where we don't have heat. They built a $30 million jail 2 blocks away from my school where we we don't even have enough books for every child in the room to have one. We got 3 children to a book right now. So understand that this ain't set up for us. We understand that. But I'm gonna keep saying this. This energy we got today needs to be every day. Every single day. It needs to be every day. This energy does not need to fade away. Hey, y'all keep being great, keep standing up and fighting for what's right, and keep using your goddamn voice. They can't silence the truth.
We were going to do this later in the program, but we felt so moved about what these 2 young ladies had to say, so can we all just take a moment of silence for this one?
Excuse my voice, I've been on here for 5 days straight. This is my eighth protest in 5 days. Y'all gotta excuse my voice. Saquon, I just want to say I'm gonna see you on Wednesday, alright, bro? I'm gonna see you on Wednesday.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something about Destiny, bro. She might not know, but I saw her. She was walking front line with me in the city of Baltimore for the last couple of days. She was out there. Give it up for her. Hey, give it up for her.
Alright. I got a little speech for y'all. I would speak from the heart like I normally do, y'all, but I'm tired. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. I'm tired. Alright. You are the future. You are the future. I ponder this statement so often it becomes obsessive. We can speak on behalf of bills, protest injustice, work, pay taxes, and vote. However, we are simply limited to the future. I want to take a moment to challenge that. I stand before you today to say that we are all the now and the future. We live through entire cycles of trauma and violence, a generational curse, if you will. However, our experiences and our voices are limited to the future. But what if I told you right now, everything that we've lived through, every experience, every emotion of happiness, sadness, anger, whatever it may be, has impacted the decisions of our life and continues to do so as we speak to shape the future.
But for the now, we are here, ready and willing to share those experiences as we have carried them on our backs to implement change right now. And we do this because we are the change. Not something to look for in the future, but the ongoing change right now that the world needs. Every aspect of the story of our lives is intertwined and plays a pivotal role in the change that we are making right now in society. I wasn't going to say my name, y'all, but my name is Destiny Philpott. I'm a 19-year-old non-binary person from Baltimore, Maryland. I am the co-founder and co-leader of Good Kids Mad City, Baltimore. And a youth ambassador for the Baltimore Ceasefire Movement. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my organization. So Good Kids Mad City works to prevent gun violence in underserved communities by creating safe spaces for healing, changing behaviors, and organizing young people to advocate and lobby for progressive legislation that contributes to community revitalization, restorative justice, and reducing youth recidivism and incarceration, while simultaneously giving direct support to teens and neighborhoods that have suffered from gun violence by hosting healing circles, peace walks, honoring victims, block parties, and peer-mediated conflict resolution. All right. My story is one of the past, the now, and the way I will do my part to shape the future. Living in a white, cis, male-dominated world, I was born with 3 disadvantages: being black, being non-binary, and being disabled. I remember on April 12, 2015, Freddie Gray, a 25-year-old black man, was arrested by the Baltimore Police Department. While being transported in the police van, he fell into a coma, and he was taken to a trauma center. On April 19, 2015, Freddie Gray died. I was 14 when I was forced into cuffs for protesting the death of this innocent black man at the hands of unjust police. I couldn't understand how people who were put in place to protect and serve could cause so much pain towards people who look just like me. But then I had to remember, if they could kill 12-year-old Tamir Rice and they say we have no problem taking another. I was filled with so much anger, discomfort, distrust, and confusion. The idea of policing was formed to catch, detain, and kill runaway enslaved people. So since police were established, the black person was already a target to this abuse of power and brutality. A system that was once used to catch my ancestors was now blatantly being used to kill my brothers. I cannot sit idly by and allow this injustice to happen. So at 14, since the age of 14, I have been violently cuffed by the oppressors of the city, by those whose budget far exceeds that of our own school systems, of those whose aim is to protect themselves and serve no one. For black and brown people, the facts of injustice is rooted in the color of our skin, in the pain of our ancestors. We may not always see it happen or even know it's happening, but it will always be impacting us. The revolution did not just start, it just started getting videotaped. Gun violence, I need everyone to understand this, that police violence is gun violence. It has stolen lives of 2 million of my friends. I lost 12 people to gun violence in the last 2 years, and over 2 dozen in my lifetime. We are youth that are not living in this world. We are simply surviving, existing. We've been constantly fighting for survival, and because of this, we say enough is enough. We are fighting not only for our lives, but for the quality of life. Free from trauma, housing and educational disparities, racial injustice, and everything else that has brought us to these moments. And injustice is the lack of quality of life we are afforded to have in cities like Baltimore that ultimately take our lives in more ways than one. And injustice is the lack of schooling and quality schooling that has affected the lives of individuals in my city. And injustice is the lack of housing and quality housing that many experience. And the injustice that I have seen and experienced is relative to all these things. We no longer stand idly by and allow a system bent on preserving whiteness to dictate whether or not we deserve to live. I want to show you right now that youth deserve to live. Black and brown people deserve to live.
She lived here in College Park, and she went down to Virginia Beach to
Virginia Beach Police SWAT claimed that they got a tip from a confidential informant that Angelo Perry was on his way to commit a crime. I need you all to know that the narrative that the police put out is very rarely fraught with any truth whatsoever. Because they followed my daughter as she went driving her car with Maryland tags from house to house, introducing 4-month-old baby Roman to Angelo Perry's family. He had not seen the baby until he came here to Maryland 3 days prior to meet the baby. Then they went back Labor Day weekend to introduce Roman to his family. But because Angelo Perry, and I'll share this with you all, served time from the age of 13, it was 13 years from the age of 21 to 34. The original charge allegedly was an assault on a Virginia Beach Police Virginia Beach Police officer. So that tells you right there, they had retaliation on their mind. But they followed my daughter in her car for 3 hours. They assembled a SWAT team consisting of no less than 16 highly trained, highly militarized SWAT officers. SWAT. So they can't use the excuse that training was the issue here. This was deliberate, well thought out plan to murder. They followed my baby from car, saw India carrying Roman's car seat. They saw India go to a Shell gas station. She got out of the car and was in there for almost 5 minutes. Do you all hear me? 5 minutes. So if they wanted to effect an arrest on Angelo Perry, they had ample time to do so. And not at one moment did they de-escalate. They waited until my daughter drove to 7-Eleven, and in a SWAT unmarked van and a blue SUV, they ambushed my daughter's car while simultaneously throwing flashbang grenades at India's car, knowing she was innocent, knowing there's a 4-month-old baby in the car. And with depravity, 4 officers jumped out of the back of the van. They fired over 51 rifle rounds into my innocent daughter's car. Fuck the police! Fuck the police! They tear our lives to shreds. Yes. And we're left trying to pick up the shattered pieces to try to live. You all need to know, Columbia is my home. I've been here over 20 years. A banker over at the Wachovia, you name it. I know a lot of people. This is my home. And India, although she was not domiciled in Virginia Beach, she was murdered there by a team of men that looked on my daughter as they held their rifles. Who throws a flashbang grenade?
This is not making our community safer. It's making the rich richer. Let's talk about the fact that the prison industry is $1 billion industry. Murdering police officers aren't the ones sitting behind bars. Most people are non-violent offenders, poor people, and black and brown people who are in need of services, support, and mental health and drug treatment, not voluntary treatment. Only one of the 4 murderous officers in George Floyd's death have been arrested. You had not 1, not 2, but 3 grown men pressing their weight on a man, killing him slowly as he and others begged and pleaded for his life. And here we are a week later and still no justice. We're crying in these streets because there's been no justice for George Floyd. We're crying in these streets because there's been no justice for Tony McDade. We're crying because there's been no justice for Breonna Taylor. And y'all want to tell people to calm down and just be Tell your parents and Peace is defined as freedom from disturbance. When black people are being gunned down, strangled, and lynched in modern day, we are not free from disturbances. And if you have disturbed, you should be agitated and you should be angry. So while we will continue to be nonviolent, peace will not come until we get justice. We must continue to organize and mobilize and take the streets and protest and join grassroots movements like the Poor People's Campaign and demand that we end the police state of our nation that is rooted in white supremacy. We need to invest in our communities, invest in education, invest in housing, invest in healthcare, and defund the police. The great elevator into the killing of black men and my son, until the killing of black men, black mother sons becomes as important to the rest of the country as the killing of
They did this with depravity. They looked at my daughter as less than a human life. They lied later, saying they did not know the baby was in the car. But let me reiterate, this was a SWAT team. You know, they have full gear, including night-aided vision. They have that. But that's not the narrative that the police put out. They claim that Angela Perry shot from the car. But you can go on YouTube now. I tried my best to get amplification for my daughter and all black lives who are murdered by police with impunity. And it falls on deaf ears. It falls on deaf ears because people want to separate themselves. And unfortunately, there's cognitive dissonance. But you all are making a difference by being out here today. Racism. We're talking about a Navy vet. She served her country. She served, and she bled out on the concrete of the 7-Eleven. On the concrete, babies in the back seat of the car screaming. He's screaming because his parents, he was just orphaned by 16 officers. You all need to know, who was Angelo Perry? A black man who served time in jail, whose entire youth was taken from him from the age of 21 to 34, and they murdered him in less than a year and a half of him being paroled. What does that tell you all right there? Fuck the police! We can change these laws because they have what's called qualified immunity, meaning that if an officer kills someone in the line of duty, they cannot be, they're not prosecuted. You all tell me, how many times have you seen the police get up there and say that we were wrong? They always vilify. They always vilify and lie on those whom they murder. Why? Because they can get away with it. Because we with black skin become invisible. Because they go home at dinner table and they talk about how much they hate us, and they get puffed up because they have a badge and a firearm, and they know that the government's going to be behind them to protect them in the court of law. But you, as we stand here, 3 officers who killed George Floyd are still not charged. All of the officers who killed Breonna Taylor are still not charged. All of the officers who killed and were involved in the killing of Eric Garner, and I know these mothers, you all go to, I've held the hands of these mothers as we have cried and tried to reason in our minds the whys. We don't have answers. We have endless tears. So I just wanted to take a moment and tell you all what it's like to try to survive every day. When you know your baby, we have the birth certificate, then we end up holding the death certificate. When our children's names are reduced to a hashtag. To a hashtag! India played 5 instruments, you all. She loved anime. She was very gentle in spirit. 5 instruments, self-taught, an artist, a musician, a poet, highly articulate, highly intelligent, empathic, with the sweetest heart. Say her name! India Kager! Say her name! And it's not just my baby who I share tears for. I don't shed tears just for my India. Yes, I birthed her. I labored in birth. I'm laboring in her death. And it's not just my baby. You see 12-year-olds. Breonna Taylor was in her house. In her house. Botham Jean was in his house. And they barge in. And I'm going to tell you all something that no one really knows. Prince George's County Police. My son's name is Brandon Bailey. And just this past November, he was racially profiled. He's already dealing with PTSD because his sister was murdered by police. But he's an artillery expert. There was a female officer who, he's a hunter. She saw that he had a handgun in a case, flashing it in his car, detaining him from going to work. 2 months later, she had gotten a warrant. He's laying in his bed at 5-something in the morning, and police barged open his door, Prince George's County Police. They threw another flashbang grenade. I went over there, and I saw the burn mark on the carpet and the wall. This is a young man who also served, and he tells me, he could not work in law enforcement anymore. We're a law enforcement family. India's father and grandfather were both retired police officers. I myself was a former Tacoma Park police dispatcher. There's so many of us in the family, so I'm not just speaking this out of hatred for police, but I know how fucked up they really are. They die to protect themselves. So I don't have time to be politically correct anymore and to not speak with profanity because it's profane what they do to our loved ones. The jail of Prince George's County overnight. Imagine, young brothers and sisters, what he was thinking. He's in jail for nothing. They released him with an apology. I could have been burying another child if Brandon didn't have the presence of mind to somehow collect himself and not fight back, not defend what he has the right to defend, and that's his life. He has a right. We all have a right. Police officers will fire in a car with an innocent woman and a baby, that tells you that they care not about the training, so to speak. There's something else driving that type of evil. There's something else propelling them to move forward and not even de-escalate. Terrorists. Yes, you said it. Domestic terrorists. Domestic terrorism. Police terrorism. And we have to try to live our lives every day. They are. Black bodies disproportionately. It is. And I heard people say all lives matter. I have a respect for lives. But let me tell you something. The United States, in terms of the complete demographic of black people, is only 13%. But disproportionately, it is those of us who are profiled and killed. So that's the reason why you see the proliferation of videos of black bodies. You all, please, look at what they did to India. And I need you all to know that all 16 of them, none of them were held accountable. Not one. Fuck the police! And black lives don't matter! Black lives matter! way of living our lives free from being treated like animals and gunned down in the street. We saw Derek Chauvin's knee on the neck of George Floyd for almost 8 minutes and 49 seconds, I believe that's what it was. And we're re-triggered over and over again. So it was not my intent, you all, to just take the mic. I gotta speak for her. But I wanna thank you all. Thank you all for coming. Saturated with tears. And we have to face another day when it would be a lot easier to die than to have to live the pain that's inescapable, irrevocable, but most importantly, unnecessary. They don't have to kill our families, our loved ones like this because of the amount of melanin in our skin. It doesn't matter. Angelo Perry, there was no arrest warrant. None. They wanted him dead. And my daughter, India, she was collateral damage. They saw her and baby Roman, but they choose not to see her. They chose not to see her humanity. They chose to make a decision to fire 51 rifle rounds in my baby's car. And they chose to protect one another with the blue coat of silence, all the way up from the Commonwealth Attorney down to the attorneys who protected them. We must change these laws. We have to change the laws. And with this energy, with the national outrage that we're witnessing now, you all are here today because something in your heart said, I will not sit back and just watch this. I see now what has been happening to black people. I see now. It doesn't have to be this way, but it is. Stop saying that we're better than this. Because until we stop seeing black bodies gunned down by police officers who are still walking free, statistically 99% of the cases of people who get killed by police are not brought to justice. Not one. Not one. Not one. It could be you. Because truth of the matter is that everybody in this audience, especially those who are black, you fit the description of the next victim of police terrorism. You fit that description because they will cobble a story and lie and snuff out your life like it's nothing to them. Thank you all for listening.